Hello everybody, happy Sunday, welcome back to AGBCars. Today is the 8th of March 2015, which means there's only 1 week remaining until the first Formula 1 race of 2015, which obviously takes place in Melbourne, Australia next Sunday. So this video is kind of something I hope to continue. I hope it'll turn into kind of a weekly recap of the week in motorsport and the week in Formula 1, any news, any gossip, anything like that that is important to the sport. So I'm thinking every Friday this video will probably come out, and then followed by some sort of a race or weekend review and analysis on it on the Sunday or the Monday, depending. When there's not an F1 race on, I'm sure there will still be news to talk about on the Friday, and then I'm sure I can find something to talk about, or some kind of video I can make on the Sunday or Monday as well. So looking forward to 2 videos a week for the foreseeable future anyway. We'll see how it all goes, and we can change and shop and things if anyone doesn't like them or anyone thinks they have a better idea. Feel free to let me know in the comments any suggestions you might have as to what you think I should do regarding that. So kind of 2 main stories I want to talk about this week, and they are regarding Fernando Alonso and the Marussia team. So I'm going to start off on the Alonso topic. We all know that during pre-season testing on day, I think it was day 3 of the last Barcelona test, maybe it was day 2, I can't quite remember. Alonso crashed his McLaren in Barcelona and he was taken to hospital. He spent a couple of nights in the hospital and then walked out of the hospital, and everyone thought nothing of it. Since then, details have emerged that make us think it was quite a bit more serious than maybe we first presumed. He had a concussion in the incident, which of course is very serious if you're a Formula 1 driver, because the risk of driving with a concussion is very high, because of course so much G-force, and the cars are so stiff anyway. So for medical reasons, Fernando Alonso has been advised not to take part in the Australian Grand Prix. And that, for Alonso not being able to take part in the Australian Grand Prix is quite a big blow to him, because he's just after going to McLaren now from a good run at Ferrari. And Alonso is kind of the main part. He's the central idea in McLaren's new kind of team, the new passion and the new kind of energy that's in the team with the Honda engine coming in, and Alonso is kind of the central idea to stick all of the pieces into one and kind of make McLaren what it will be in the future. So for this to happen, it's very unfortunate, really. And so the McLaren test driver of Kevin Magnussen will be in the car instead at Australia. So Magnussen obviously was in the car, was a McLaren driver last year, and then was demoted to third driver and test driver because of Alonso. And now, of course, because Alonso's injured, Magnussen's in the car for the first race anyway. So, but Magnussen, last year, Magnussen had a great run at Australia. He finished second when Ricciardo was disqualified for the fuel flow rate implication. So, Magnussen, I'm sure he will certainly try his best to impress anyway, because he wants to make a statement and say, you're after making the wrong choice here, McLaren. I'm a lot faster than Alonso, and if you had taken me instead, things would have been better. So he's going to be out on a mission this week, and Jenson Button will have an early sort of chance to get some points on the board ahead of his teammate Alonso. but then the McLaren is so fragile at this state, and they haven't completed a race simulation and testing. So, like, we don't know if the car will last all 58 laps of Australia. And if it doesn't, then, like, there's no real disadvantage that Alonso will have compared to Button, because Button might not even start the race. They might encounter a big engine problem on the Sunday morning. Like, who knows? And so yeah, very very like unfortunate for Alonso. So that's kind of the Alonso story there. Then we go on to Marussia, and Marussia is kind of an uplifting story, sort of. It's very. I was very impressed at what Manor, even, which is the real name, Manor, F1. I'm really really impressed at what they've been able to achieve in the last while, because I think it was early February when they had a new sponsor and new stakeholders and everything, and then they were able to sort of get back what they had in terms of people in the team. I know Graham Loudon is still there, and he's a very senior role now, so like it's practically the same team just under new management, and for them to already have passed the crash tests set by the FIA, and to be like all ready to be racing in Australia after only really a month is super super impressive, because the team was only saved about a week before everything was to be auctioned off, and they wouldn't have any team. And saying that, I know their factory was bought by Haas F1 for their European base. So I honestly don't know what happened there, if they bought it back or if Haas is allowing them to use it for 2015 while Haas are still kind of preparing to enter the sport next year. I don't know, but they somehow managed to modify the 2014 car so much that it complies with the 2015 regulation changes, and then over the course of the year they hope to kind of improve and upgrade the car, but to actually make it into a proper 2015 car. So there might be even a brand new chassis at some point throughout the season. And then the drivers as well, they only have one driver at the moment, is Will Stevens, who of course raced for Caterham in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix of 2014. So it's not going to be his debut, but it is going to be his debut season, I suppose. The first season that he's actually in as a full driver, not just a one race paying driver, although he probably is paying for the Marussia seat as well. But he's another British driver in the sport as well, so he's going to be kind of taking over from Max Chilton in that role. But they only have one driver, so Max Chilton may still have a seat in Marussia, because his dad still has quite a big input into the team. So that was kind of the whole reason as to why Chilton had a seat there, was his dad really. And now it's kind of getting to the stage where they need money more than they need drivers. So a pay driver is kind of the only option for Marussia, which of course is terrible for the sport and for the excellent drivers that have won the lower formulas on merit and speed. So we don't know who's going to be their second driver, but we have to find out very soon, because they have to be in the car on next Friday. So I don't know. We'll find out soon anyway. Then in other news, Williams said that it was kind of surprised by Mercedes' pace, because Williams went into this season, of course, went into the season kind of thinking they would be kind of the second best to Mercedes and hopefully challenge Mercedes, because at the end of 2014, Williams were extremely close to Mercedes and were the closest by a long way. Like Red Bull kind of fell off the kind of the top two towards the end of the season, so it was only Williams who could challenge Mercedes, and Massa like almost won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix after going on the super softs at the end. So like for Williams to see Mercedes' pace in Barcelona and say, "Wow, like we don't really have a chance," that's certainly hinting at another Mercedes dominant year in 2015, which like we all expected, but just something to say, I suppose. And finally, about Red Bull, that they released their new color scheme for this year. Of course, they ran with the camouflage design, I suppose, in testing this year. But Christian Horner said that the livery would change for 2015 and that it would be quite big. But then it was released and it was practically the exact same, just with a bit of another kind of hint of purple on the side pods. So, like, not really much of a change. But then I don't really mind, because I suppose Red Bull is kind of one of the key teams now in F1, and the most kind of recently historic team, I suppose. And their colour scheme is kind of, like we're used to it in the grid, and if that wasn't there, it wouldn't kind of be the same. So I don't really mind, and a bit of change anyway for 2015. So that's all for this episode. Thank you very much for listening here, and I will see you next Friday for the second episode of The Week in F1. Goodbye, thank you for listening.